What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Tanveer Talks. I'm your host, and this is episode 9. If you're new here, welcome. And if you've been with me since the beginning, thank you for sticking around. Last week, we delved into AI agents. We talked about how AI agents are doing all your work and you automating the industry. Today, we're gonna dive into something that might make you question everything you do online, right? We are talking about the dead internet theory. And I know what you're thinking. Dead internet? Like I'm literally listening this to this podcast online right now and you're saying this is dead? But hear me out. Because this theory is actually wild, disturbing, and honestly kind of hard to completely dismiss once you start noticing the patterns. So yeah, let's dive into it. So what exactly is that dead internet theory? Well, the basic idea is this: the internet died sometime around 2016 or 2017. Not literally, like obviously. So you're still scrolling, right? Like you're still posting. I'm still posting, watching TikTok videos. Everyone's watching YouTube videos, Instagram reels, right? But according to this theory, the vast majority of online content and interactions are no longer created by real human beings. Instead, they're generated by bots. Crazy, right? The content is being manipulated by corporations and governments to create the illusions of a living, breathing internet. Think about that for a second. The theory suggests that most comments, posts, articles, videos, right, even entire accounts you interact with online, right, might not be real people at all. They are sophisticated algorithms designed to keep you engaged, to manipulate your opinions, to sell you things, or simply to create the appearance that the internet is still this vibrant human space that it used to be. Yeah, that like the theory is this theory is wild. When I was researching about it and I looked into it more, I was like, okay, could be true. There was a data that backed it up, right? So now, before we go any further, right, I just want to be clear. This is still a theory, right? It's not a proven fact, but like many good conspiracy theories, right, it's built on observations that are generally troubling, and it asks the questions we should probably be asking anyway. And that internet theory first gained traction, right, on message boards. I don't know if you guys are on like 4chan or some of the boards out there, right? The forums around like 2021. Like the original post that really crystallized it, right? It appeared on the Agora Roads Macintosh Cafe forum. Like though, like there was like idea of this previously floating around as well, but this one was the latest one, right? And this poster and this post actually laid out this idea that somewhere between 2016 and 2017, the internet reached a tipping point. And before that, there were bots, right, and fake accounts, right? Like we know there were like bots with loads of it, right? But they were like still a minority. Right? It wasn't a majorly like there were bots everywhere. It was a minority on the internet. After that point, or basically, this theory actually claims the script actually flipped around 2016 and 2017, and real humans or like real people became us, meaning us, right? We became the minority, right? And the artificial content became the dominant force. And you might be asking, why those specific years, right? Well, that's when we saw like massive leaps in AI capabilities, right? Particularly in natural language processing. That's when we started seeing those neural networks that could, generate human-like text. It's also around when social media platforms really, perfected their engagement algorithms, and when we started noticing that, the online spaces felt a bit different. They started putting more algorithms. YouTube started putting more algorithms, and the content, content ID thing, everything is automated. You knew you felt around that time 2016 and 2017 like something changed in the back end, right? It felt more manufactured and less organic. So what makes people believe this, right? Let's look at what proponents of this theory points to, because honestly some of it is pretty compelling. First, There's the sheer volume of bot activity online. This isn't just a conspiracy talk, right? This is like documented fact. Studies have shown that the bots make up a huge percentage of internet traffic right now. We're talking anywhere between 40 to 60% of all web traffic. Depending on which study you look at, right? Like there's probably like more than half, right? Think about it. Like more than half of what's happening online isn't actually human. It's all bots. And the second, there's that repetitive nature of online content. How many times have you seen that exact same comment on different posts? How many times have you noticed that the YouTube comments, Twitter replies, or even the Instagram comments seem to follow the same pattern, uses the same phrase, same phrases actually, right? Have the same cadence, and believers in this theory say that that's because they're literally being generated by the same algorithms. And then there's what people call dead memes, or corporate memes. They're those memes that the big brand use that just feel kind of off, right? Like they're trying, like the big brands that are trying too hard to be, they're trying to fit in basically, right? But you all know that there's somebody at the end, like they've automated this process. They have bots trying to just push the content on people, right? Or even those Reddit posts, that inexplicably blow up with thousands of upvotes, But when you look at the comments, something feels hollow about the engagement. There's like a fake, like the upvotes are there, the replies are like, they seem off. If you read the comment, it'll look like, does it really, like, I don't think a human would write like this perfect of a message or a reply to a post. It feels off, it feels fake. Basically, that the theory is suggesting that these are algorithmically boosted content designed to seem organic but actually manufactured to go viral. Here's another thing: homogenization of the online culture. Remember when different forums, different platforms, different corners of the internet had distinct personalities and cultures? Now everything kind of feels the same. The same discourse pattern, the same arguments, the same recycled across platforms, right? Like, is that because algorithms are pushing us towards the same content, or because the content itself is being generated by the same AI system? And then there's the advertiser angle, right? We all know that there's a targeted ads. Targeted ads are like pretty incredibly sophisticated, right? But this theory takes it further. Like, it's suggesting that the entire online conversations, trends, and controversies are manufactured to sell products or push narratives. That viral tweet about a product, maybe it's not organic. It was manufactured. I've seen like TikTok videos, where this one person is being followed by this huge, like, big company, right? Microsoft. Do you think that's intentional? Yes. To me, it felt intentional, right? They were trying too hard to be say, oh, like only Microsoft is following them. Like it was all part of the marketing, all part of advertising, right? That Reddit thread where everyone recommending the same brand, maybe astroturfing by AI. That's what this theory is suggesting, right? So let's see. Let's pump the brakes for a second, and because if you're intellectually honest, we have to look at why this theory might be overblown or could be wrong. Who's to say, right? So it's a theory, right? So it can be proven wrong. First off, right? Like the internet is massive, right? Like incomprehensibly massive. Like billions of people are online every single day. There are 8 billion people and growing. And I'm pretty sure 7 billion of them are using the internet, because 1 billion would be the babies, maybe more, I don't know. Even kids have, access to internet. So everyone is using it. It's big, And even if, bots make up a huge chunk of traffic, that still, does not mean real human interaction has disappeared. It just means that there's a lot more noise to cut through, right? The second is the dead feeling, right? People describe might not be because of bots. It just might be because has just changed. Social media platforms have matured. Algorithms do shape what we see, but that's not the same as saying everything is fake, right? These algorithms that YouTube is growing, they're trying to make it better, right? But like it's not fake, right? It might just mean that the wild west days of the early internet are over, replaced by corporate controlled algorithm driven platforms, that feel more sterile. Third, the humans are really good at pattern recognitions, sometimes too good. So we see that patterns even when they're not there, right? The fact that online interactions feel repetitive might just be because there are only so many ways to respond to things, right? And popular phrases naturally spread through human culture, so there's that as well, right? And honestly, like if the internet really were dead, like if most content really were AI generated, we'd probably notice more glitches, more obvious mistakes and more uncanny value movements than we actually see. So there's that, right? I don't think, yeah, like honestly, yeah, I don't think so. But the theory is kind of wild and scary, to be honest, if it is true, right? Maybe AI has learned so much that we don't know what's real and what's not. You know, that M dashes thing that everyone just talks about. Oh, if you use a M dash, you're probably using AI. But AI learned it from the people, hence it is using it more. Maybe it's used in the language so much, maybe in the books, the data it has, maybe more people use M dashes. That is why AI is using more M dashes, and people were not seeing the pattern before. Since there are more AI content using the M dashes, hence people are thinking that, oh, okay. And then people who actually use M dashes are not AI created, and people think, okay, that's also AI generated. So it's kind of like a gray area. And to understand how we got here, like we have to also talk about a concept coined by Cory Doctorow, insuricification. Doctor describes this predictable life cycle for these digital platforms, right? First, they are good to their users to build a crowd. Then they start abuse those users to make things better for business customers. And then finally, they abuse those business customers to claw back all the value for themselves. And then they die. Take the biggest example is Amazon, right? That's their personification of this, right? It started with great prices, easy returns, right? Still there. Now, the first two pages of the search result, right? The search result is the most, you will see that they have sponsored listings of low quality or even counterfeit products. Because now you're no longer the customer, you are the product being sold to the highest bidder. And Google followed a similar path. It was once synonymous with finding the truth. Today it's just described as an ad delivery company that occasionally shows search results, right? You first search the first four searches, like to search for anything, everything is sponsored, everything is ads. The first page is all ads. Sometimes 4 ads, sometimes 5 ads, sometimes even more, right? You have to click next on the next page to see the actual results. This pay to play system means high quality niche human content is being pushed further down the page by those who can afford the most SEO optimization. And then there's TikTok, right? It was famous for early good recommendations engine, but now the sources are revealing that TikTok also uses a heating tool to manually push specific videos into millions of feeds, making creators think they are going viral organically when they're actually being manipulated into staying on the platform. And another thing, it brings me to the visual side of this dead internet. If you've been on Facebook lately, you've probably seen Shrimp Jesus. Shrimp Jesus. Thousands of AI generated images of Christ matched with a shrimp or flight attendant or children next to fake artwork. These posts go viral with thousands of amen comments, most of which are also bot generated. It's a self-sustaining loop where bots create content for other bots to like, while humans look on in confusion. And if you want to see this, the final form of the dead internet, look at Moldbook. Launched in early 2026, it's the first social network designed exclusively for AI agents, and it has over, you can believe it, 1.6 million registered agents, debating philosophy, sharing memes, and running their own economies. Humans are strictly in observer-only mode, and it's a parallel digital society where we are not even invited, man. Now you might be thinking, fine, let let the bots have the internet. Who cares? The problem is, there's a scientific phenomenon called model collapse. AI models like ChatGPT need clean human data to learn, but because the internet is now being flooded with AI slop, the AI is starting to train on its own outputs. This, what creates a degenerative loop. AI loses diversity and then forgets rare facts and then begins to hallucinate more frequently. In fact, chatbots now spread misinformation in about 35% of the responses. Like, if humans stop getting original gold standard data, the AI itself eventually go haywire. And, here's, where things actually get interesting. Because even if the dead internet theory in its most extreme form isn't true, there's a middle ground that's genuinely concerning. We know for a fact that AI generated content is exploding. ChatGPT and other large language models have made it incredibly easy to generate like human-like text at scale, right? All these models were Copilot. We asked Copilot to generate, you know, thousands, thousand word essay for me, right? A 1,000 word paragraph or article. It'll generate it for you. And so many people are using it right now, and to even proofread their own work. So AI can correct it. It can make it sound like more professional. It can fix any grammatical errors, all that, right? And right now, as basically I'm recording this in 2026, right? The AI generated articles, social media posts, and the comments are everywhere. Some are disclosed and many are not. Like, you don't know what's real and what's not. We know that the bot forms also exist, right? We know that governments and corporations use them for propaganda, for astroturfing, for manipulating public opinion. And this isn't just a theory, right? Like, this is actually documented reality. We know that, Republicans, I think in US, when the elections happened, they got manipulated to so much fake, so much propaganda that went against Democrats. Republicans could win. We know that the social media platforms use algorithms that often prioritize engagement over authenticity, right? Which means controversial bots, the content created by them might actually get boosted over genuine human interaction because it generates more clicks, right? And maybe the internet isn't dead in the sense that real humans have disappeared, but maybe it's dying. Maybe we are in this transitional period where the lines between real and artificial are blurring, and we haven't quite figured out how to deal with that yet, right? That's what I think, right? So what do we do with all this? Whether you believe that the internet theory or not, I think there are some real takeaways here, right? First, we need to be more skeptical of what we see online, not paranoid, not cynical, to a point where we disengage completely, but appropriately skeptical. We need to ask ourselves, could this be a bot? Could this be AI generated? Could this be astroturfing? Not every time you see something, but enough to keep your critical thinking sharp. That's what I would say. Like, when a content is being pushed on you, you think, okay, was this created by AI? Is this bot? Is this a propaganda? You research on it. Not every time, right? Sometimes you just want to get the news. I think a TikTok right now is the best way to get news if you're following the right channels, right? you'll get real news, right? And second, we actually need to value authentic human connections more, I would say. If so much of online interaction really is artificial, then the real stuff becomes, more valuable. Seek out smaller communities, engage in video calls where you can hear real people, talk to them, go out, don't be always stuck on your phone. Support platforms and spaces that prioritize, human authenticity over algorithmic engagement. And third, we need to demand transparency. Platforms should be required to label bot accounts. Right now, Instagram, TikTok, even YouTube asks you to, if you post something, it asks you that is your content AI generated. The images, the videos, whatever you use, you have to specify. Even the promotional materials that you post on Instagram, Reels, or even posts that you post, right? You have to specify that is it AI generated or not. Like it's optional. If you don't do it, Instagram would, or even TikTok says that in their guidelines or terms and conditions that even if you say no, if they find that it is AI generated, they will add that tag automatically that your content was AI generated. AI generated does not mean that if you're using AI to cut your videos, right? Like I do, right? I use AI Opus Clip to create like a small snippets of my videos or small snippets of my podcast, right? Just to create videos. But I am actually the one who's talking. So I don't have to put AI generated because I did not generate anything from AI. I only did a cut, right? AI generated means the whole thing was AI generated. That you used the images that were AI generated. You used the background that is AI generated. You used even the person who's talking in the back is AI generated. Maybe I am AI generated. Who knows? I'm just kidding. Like I am, of course, too, right? That kind of transparency, I think, what we need, right? Like it should be disclosed. We need to know that if we are interacting with a machine or when we interact with a person. And finally, and then maybe we need to accept that the internet, we fell in love with the weird, wild human internet of the 2000 and early 2010s might actually be gone, not dead, but transferred to something different. And maybe that's okay, as long as we go into it with our eyes open. I don't know if I fully believe this dead internet theory, the extreme version, right, where almost everything online is fake. It seems like a stretch. But the moderate version, like, where bots and AI are taking up more and more space, where authentic human interaction is being drowned out by algorithmic content, where the lines between, real and artificial are increasingly blurred, that version seems undeniably true to me, right? As you know, all these theories, that this internet theory supposes what they're saying is 50 to 70%, 50% of the content is AI generated. Sure, like there are bots, including bots and everything. Sure, but there's still 50% that is human interaction. Right? Go to Reddit, go to YouTube comments. There are real conversations happening on even Twitter. There are real conversations happening. Yeah, time to time people use AI to generate those. Yes. And automatic bots generating. Yes, there are some automated bots. There are some automated bots that even do podcasts, right? For you, right? If you go to Spotify, you'll see some AI daily news, right? It gives you snippets of the daily news, right? Yeah, there is that, right? Which is actually true, which I think is proven, right? But I think maybe that is the real point. Maybe the dead internet theory isn't about whether the internet is literally dead, but about whether we are paying attention to how it's changing. Are we okay with this AI generated content dominating our feeds, or are we comfortable with bots shaping our conversations? And do we want to live in this digital world where we cannot tell what's real and what's not? These are the questions that we need to be asking. Whether the internet is dead or just evolving into something we might not recognize anymore. All right, before we wrap up, I want to ask you for a favor. And I promise you're actually talking to a real human here, not a bot. I'm not a bot. But if you enjoyed this episode, best way to support the show is to subscribe and follow. You can catch me, Three Talks, first on Spotify. That is where I upload. My every new episodes are getting uploaded to Spotify every week, right? I upload every week there. And if you want to search, if you want the time, you can search me on YouTube, which is Tanveer Talks Official, or Tanveer Ramgaria. You can hit that subscribe button on YouTube. You can follow me on Spotify and subscribe there as well, so that you never miss an episode. And also don't forget to click that bell icon on YouTube. If you want to continue the conversation or just see what I'm thinking about between episodes, find me on X at Punjabi Gamer 786. I generally love to hear your thoughts on today's topic. Do you think that internet theory has merit, or have you noticed that internet's feeling more artificial? Drop me a message. Let's talk about it. And hey, like, if you're feeling generous, leave a rating or even a review wherever you're listening from. Comment down below on YouTube. Comment down below on Spotify. It helps me as a small creator to gain more following, and it helps me to create more content for you guys. So please do leave a comment. And yeah, that is it for episode 9 of the Talks. Thank you so much for listening and for supporting the show from wherever you guys are listening. And until next time, thank you. This is Tanvir signing off.